Hi everyone, hello, it's Viola here, live, and just so you guys know, if you see my eyes like dotting around like crazy, I'm live two places at once. This is so crazy because I can see myself in both, and I lost connection on Insta, oh no, there I am, but it's so cool, I can see myself on two phones at once, and I thought I would go live here as well because I had a couple people on Instagram message me, hi, that they're either not on Facebook or whatever, and so that I should maybe go live on Insta as well. And so I thought I would do I think my first Insta live, so that's cool. But yeah, I am live on both platforms at the moment, and I am coming on to talk about optimal health. So some of you may have seen my post that I did earlier, about, that Dalai Lama quote, which I'm sure you guys have heard before, and if you are joining me on either platform, please say hello. Hi! It's always good to see the comments of who's around and who's checking in and listening to the information. But the Dalai Lama quote is the one that says, that man is like the most ironic of all beings because they are willing to lose their health to gain wealth, but then spend all their wealth to gain their health back, and then, they don't live in the moment because they're so anxious. They are always planning for the future and never really having lived, or something along those lines, right? And I think it's such a powerful quote as well because it's, like I shared in my post, I'm losing connection on Instagram every now and then. I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm going to do about that. But for those on Facebook, I'm not losing connection on Facebook. So if you guys are having trouble with my connection, maybe just hop onto my Facebook page. It's just Viola Hug, so facebook.com/ViolaHug gets cut out again. That's alright. That's so hilarious. Thank you guys for bearing with me on Facebook. But it's facebook.com/ViolaHug if you want to join me there if you're having connection issues. Anyway, so I'm really passionate about this topic, and those of you that have been following me for a while know that I have a massive love for this topic. I just swapped over, I see. Awesome. Because of my own personal experience with life and health and everything that I went through as a young person that really, I guess, redirected my life. And I want to take you guys back for a moment to 13 years ago, okay? So this was actually just under 13 years ago, and apologies, and I had a moment in my life that was definitely a drastic moment. So I want to take you there for a minute. If you just imagine 13 years ago, rainy day, what was I, 16 years old, it was a very, very rainy Sunday, and my family and I were spending the morning together. I can't even remember exactly what we were doing, but I know around lunchtime we decided to sit down and watch the movie. Maybe it was late morning, I'm not sure. But we decided to sit down and watch the movie The Incredibles, for those of you that have seen that movie. And it's a great movie. And my mom made herself a coffee and she went upstairs. And then the next thing that happened, I guess, was that major defining moment. And it was that my mom came to tell us that my dad had actually passed away. So this was such a massive moment in my life, and I mean, at the time, I still get emotional when I think about it, guys. It's so ridiculous. I don't know, I don't think it is ridiculous actually, but death, losing someone that you really love, and those of you that have been through this know this to be true, but it's a hard thing, you don't really ever get over it. And I still get really I guess emotional about it. But that moment was a moment that changed everything for me, and at the time it's something that I thought I could never get over. I didn't actually think I could handle losing somebody that I loved. It was, I don't know, I always thought that I was if one of my parents died, I would die. I wouldn't be able to handle it, and surprise, surprise, we're stronger than we think. We can handle those things in our life. But I went at first through a stage where I really resented everything that happened, and I was really hurt, and I was really grieving for about 5 years. And then about 5 years later, I started to actually make sense of everything that had happened. But during that time, I was still guided in a way. Even though I was grieving and I was making a lot of decisions that probably weren't the best for myself, I actually still went through a really transitional period where I had a lot of growth and a lot of positive things happen. And one of those things, the things that stood out most to me, and I honestly swear all of this stuff was divinely guided for me, because I don't even know like how things like this happen. But anyway, through a series of events, I was inspired to learn more about nutrition, because I started to learn that even though we were a healthy family, like I kid you not, we were the family, like I was the one that had carrot sticks at school for lunch. You know, like that was me. Carrot sticks and like a sandwich on whole grain bread while everyone else was eating Dunkaroos and like, I don't know, chippies. I was that kid. And that's all good. That's amazing, right? Cool. We grew up healthy, but there were so many gaps in our knowledge that it actually ended up costing my dad his health. Because not only were we healthy by like typical standards and old school standards as I know now, but we were also so naive, and we were also so sure of the fact we knew everything better than everyone else. So there was a massive part of our mentality as a family that we were already so healthy that we didn't actually need to change anything. We didn't need to learn about new things. We didn't need to do this because, hello, like we had a garden, we like, you know, we ate the carrot sticks, we, you know, had the herbal teas, and we made our own salad dressing. I remember that was always like a really big thing. Like Tara, my old school friend that I've known since I was like 10 years old, is on right now on Facebook, and she'll be able to vouch for you. It was like a thing, right? Like everyone always had packet salad dressing, and we made our own salad dressing, and it was just like the most healthy, crazy thing ever. But little did I know that that wasn't actually the case. We were doing some things right, don't get me wrong, but there were still so many gaps in our understanding for optimal health that it literally cost my dad his life. And that is something that created a burning fire inside of me. Like I can't even explain what that started in me. And you can probably feel the passion coming off me because I can't help it. Like I cannot not get into this subject because it's so deep for me, right? And so I started learning about health in a completely different way. I started learning that, hey, guess what? The 2000s, the 21st century is actually very, very different than friggin' 1905, where all of our health knowledge seemed to have come from. And, oh, thank you so much for the comments. There's always more to learn, and I so get that. And that's when I started to make this connection that I couldn't live as the person who thought they knew it all. I had to change my mindset, and I had to be the person that was always willing to learn and be proved wrong as well. Because there were so many times where I thought was what I thought was the right thing happened to not be the right thing, or it was only part of the puzzle, you know? So I had to really shift my mindset to this open-minded person that is always willing to learn more. And I'm still in that state. Like I'm never ever like solid on like this is it, this is 100% it. I feel like I've definitely discovered a lot and like definitely moved to a space in my knowledge and my understanding of things where I'm really understanding the current space that we live in, like 2018. I got you, I feel, you know, in a lot of aspects I understand, you know, what it takes to live optimally healthy, but I will never say that I know it all, and I will never say that possibly things will change, because they might. And that's exactly what I had to be open to when I was going through that transitional period, you know, around 16, 17, 18, when after my dad passed away, and then I started slowly being introduced to this whole new world, right? So I went off and studied nutrition, which was great. Like, the main thing though that I learned from that was not actually nutrition, what's right, what's wrong, like anything like that. It was science, man. Like I went from someone who was sucked at science at school to being the biggest science nerd that you'll probably ever meet, because I like just am so nerdy about science now, and I love it. I just think it's the coolest topic, and particularly for me, I was super interested in physiology and biochemistry. They were like my thing, right? I loved it. And I just learned so much. Like I went so deep into that rabbit hole. Like I went over and above with a lot of things that I was learning because I was so genuinely interested in it, and it wowed me to understand how the human body really works. And understanding how the human body really works is something that I believe was a massive leap forward for me in understanding what it takes to achieve optimal health. Because now it wasn't just like, oh, is an apple good for me? Is an avocado good? Like, should I be having coconut oil? Should we be eating keto? Like, da-da-da-da-da. It wasn't anything to do with that. It was just like, how does the body work, and how can we support those trillions of cells that are in our body? For those of you that saw my post the other day, how freaking mind-blowing is a trillion, that number, by the way, right? So for those of you that didn't see my post, I have to put this into perspective. We have 50 to 100 trillion cells in our body, right? Those of you that did see my post, here's a little quiz coming up. And that number trillion is so massive, I believe nobody really even knows the difference between a million, a billion, and a trillion. And as I always say, like, I literally think gajillion's a number, so I can't even with numbers. But a million seconds ago was how long ago, guys? A million seconds ago. Give it a guess. A million seconds ago was how long ago? It was 12 days ago, okay? 11, 12 days ago. Now, a billion seconds ago was 32 years ago, and then a trillion, 32,000 years ago. And we have 50 to 100 trillion cells in our body. Like, that is just the most freaking mind-blowing thing in ever. And so I got to understand and learn during this degree what it takes to keep those cells healthy. Like, how amazing is that? Like, I got to understand, like, how things go in and out of those cells, like, what's actually going on in those cells, and how they work individually and how they work all together. And that, like, I think that was the whole purpose that I had to do my degree, because I needed to understand that to my core so I could build an appreciation for the human body that I believe, you know, not many people have. Like, I just can't even put into words how incredible the human body is. And then because of that knowledge, because of that understanding, because I can understand how a cell works individually and how it works on the grand scheme of things, I can much more easily figure out or understand different nutritional information, and I can decipher it in a way that's like kind of makes more sense, right? And so that's definitely a skill that I've picked up. And I'm kind of veering away from the topic, but that's okay. Like, maybe this is something I'll talk about another day. But really, the core foundation of where this is heading is that I started to understand that it is not up to chance that our health outcomes hit us. And this is hard to hear sometimes. I mean, it was hard for me to hear because I still wanted to believe for a very long time that it was just a very bad coincidence that my dad got cancer. But once I started to really understand things and look at like the lifespan and everything that had happened, it started to make sense. And there are still like instances where there's, you know, the exceptions from the rule, like people who are either extremely unhealthy, who live like, to very old age with no health problems, and then conversely, someone who is very healthy who then gets impacted by a disease. There's still those exceptions to the rule, and I'm sure that somewhere along the line it does make sense, like if you were to look into it. But for the majority of us, and just to be safe, we need to all be taking the steps of how to build optimal health on every single level of our body, right? Because literally, if you wait until you get sick, or until you're 65, or until you're 40, or until you're 30, or whatever that benchmark is in your head to when you need to start taking care of your health, it could possibly be too late, or you would have already done irreversible damage. One of the things that blew my mind that I learned as well is that we actually, we think that like if we eat really healthy one day and then have like a not so healthy day, then it's like fine because they balance each other out. But our cells don't work like that. Our cells are working continually 24/7. And if they actually skip a beat and they don't have what they need for a day, that can essentially be a life, like that will play out during your lifespan of an impact of what an impact that has on you. So I mean, it's kind of a freaky thing to think about. I don't like to think about it too much because then obviously our mindset impacts our health as well. And we don't want to get too wrapped up in all the little things that we do. But basically what I'm trying to say here is you don't just wait until someone in your family dies, or you get impacted by an illness, or you notice you're overweight, or you are 40 until you think, okay, I'm going to take my health serious. We have to be proactive with our health. Because the fact is that 2/3 of the population are actually impacted by lifestyle diseases. And 1/3 of the population will die before the age of 65 of cancer, diabetes complications, stroke, heart disease, degenerative diseases. And that is a massive freaking number to leave up to chance. That's 1, 2, 3. Think about the people that are online right now. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That is a big number. Big number. We cannot leave that up to chance. I will still wonder if my dairy consumption as a kid as well was at all contributing factor to getting diagnosed to type 1 when I was only 17. Yeah, exactly, Hannah. And that's, that's the thing as well. It's like there's so many things, because things like diabetes, type 1 diabetes, which is more a hereditary thing, right? Seen as a hereditary thing. Whether or not those genes are expressed, though, are still often related to our diet, right? So you're right, like it could possibly have something to do with that. We'll never really know. And you make such an effort, a beautiful effort at managing it and living with it. Like, it's really awesome to see. But yeah, I mean, even if it's just a chance that it would reduce our risk of getting these diseases, we have to be proactive. So it's like starting to take it serious to educate yourself on what habits you have that maybe are really great, what habits do you have that aren't so great, maybe what beliefs around health do you have that aren't serving you, or you could possibly do with opening your mind up to explore those beliefs more. Because again, this is like, for example, supplementation is an excellent example for me, because we grew up not believing in the idea of supplementation. We thought it was for lazy people who couldn't be bothered eating right. And I kid you not, those words came out of our mouths multiple times, until I started to understand that the gaps in our world that we live in today are so massive that there's literally, you can't kid around with that stuff. There are massive gaps and they have to be filled somehow, and obviously eating right is number one. Like, don't ever listen to someone who says you can just take supplements and you're sorted. It is not that. It's a part of the puzzle. But would you have told me 10 years ago that I will be like a twice a day, sometimes more supplementer? I would have laughed, because I just thought it was the most ridiculous thing ever. And of course, then I started to learn about the supplement industry and like how crazy that is, how there's such a massive gap in terms of what the quality control within the supplement industry. So there's like a whole thing to learn about that as well. But in terms of, do we need supplements? Yes, guys, we do. There's a massive gap to take us from just being able to survive and not get a deficiency to optimal health is a very, very different thing. So, again, that was one of those things that I would have laughed at myself if I heard myself saying that now. But yeah, so this is what I wanted to share with you, right? And so start educating yourself, start, taking those simple but so amazing little tips on board, like greens. Yes, you want those in every single meal, green things. Practicing mindfulness around when you eat as well. Yes, that is something that you want. And we all have resources to be able to start educating ourselves on this, which is what's so beautiful and so important. But as well, for those people, like, that I'm running this You Glow Girl program at the moment, which I was called to do this program. Like, it's not like it's a massive business move or a massive program that's gonna, set me financially free. It's nothing to do with that. As you guys have checked it out, have seen, this is a soul program for me. Like, this is just, I was called to share this information, and I believe it needs to be out there. So everything that I've done to organize with it is really just to make sure that more and more people are going to be educated about this and how to actually achieve that optimal health. So I'll be talking about all of this in the next 6 weeks with everyone who joins the You Glow Girl program. And if you haven't checked that program out already, go do that now. viola.com/you-glow-girl. And I'll put the link in the comments. But yeah, that program is it's for anyone who needs that additional support or wants to challenge their beliefs. And also, it's so multi-layered as well. It's not just about what we eat. It's not just about our exercise level. It's about our mindset. It's about everything that I have learned, that I'm, compressing into 6 weeks in terms of the most useful things that I believe that you can use to be empowered in your lifestyle, not to just like do a program and then think, what next? It's like literally to empower you and to just pass on that knowledge so you can actually continue using it and pass it on as well to your clients or to your family or the ones that you love. And that really is, that's why I created this program. And at the core of everything that I do is this story that I just shared with you. It's that I didn't want to get sick of a disease. Once I found out there was something we could do about it, I didn't want the people that I love to suffer through a disease that is possibly preventable for them through lifestyle. And now I feel like it's literally just part of my duty to share that with the world, and I cannot hold it in. I have to share it. And for a long time, I actually didn't see the value in my nutritional knowledge, because it's, you know, like I said, I've been in this industry now for over a decade. I've been learning consistently, like I'm always learning new stuff, and I'm always applying new things, and sometimes I forget my own value, but it's just, I've been called to more and more and more just with conversations that I've been having, that I actually have so much that I need to give in this area. And even though like my passion, like I love talking about money mindset and monetizing your passions and all of those wonderful things, none of that means anything if we don't have that foundation. So this is the first thing I need to teach people. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me live. I hope it's been valuable for you. My wish for you guys is that you all live the most like amazing, abundant, and optimally healthy, thriving, vibrant, radically impressive and wonderful lives. And I hope that I can help some of you out on that journey as well. It would just be such a pleasure. But yeah, go check out that program. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm here to answer them, and have a beautiful Tuesday evening. Mwah!